They say love doesn't care about age, but nobody tells you how hard it will be when the world refuses to understand. My name is Sarah, and at 24 years old, I fell in love with a man twice my age. Everyone called it wrong. My family stopped talking to me. My friends walked away. Strangers laughed at us on the street. But David showed me what real love feels like. He made me feel safe, understood, and valued in ways I never knew were possible. Our story wasn't easy. There were tears, heartbreak, and moments when I almost gave up. But there was also hope, beautiful moments, and a love so deep it changed everything I thought I knew. This is my story. The story of how I married a man twice my age and why I would do it all over again. I was 24 when I met him. It was a Tuesday afternoon in September, and I had just finished teaching my 3rd grade class. I was tired, my feet hurt from standing all day, and I needed something to read on the bus ride home. There was a small bookstore on Maple Street that I passed every day but never went inside. The door made a soft bell sound when I opened it. The store smelled like old paper and coffee. Shelves reached up to the ceiling, filled with books of every color. Sunlight came through the front window and made dust dance in the air. And there he was, standing behind the counter, reading with glasses sitting low on his nose. He looked up and smiled. It wasn't a big smile, just a small, gentle one that made his eyes soften. "Can I help you find something?" he asked. His voice was calm and warm, like a blanket on a cold night. I noticed the gray in his dark hair. I noticed the lines around his eyes. I noticed that he looked kind. "I need a good book," I said. "Something that will make me forget about teaching 8-year-olds how to spell." He laughed quietly. "I know just the thing." He came around the counter and walked to a shelf in the back corner. He moved slowly, carefully, like someone who never rushed through life. He pulled out a book with a blue cover and handed it to me. Our fingers touched for just a second. "This one," he said. "It's about a teacher, too. I think you'll like it." I looked at the cover. The title was simple, and the pages looked worn, like many people had loved this book before me. "Have you read it?" I asked 3 times. He said, and there was something in his voice that made me want to know everything about him. Each time I found something new. I bought the book. That night I stayed up late reading it. He was right. It was perfect. The story was about a young teacher in a small town who learned that the best lessons come from listening, not just teaching. I finished it in 2 days. When I came back to return it, David was restocking shelves. He turned when he heard the bell and his whole face lit up. Not just his mouth, but his eyes too. Like seeing me again made him genuinely happy. "You finished it already?" he asked. I couldn't put it down. I said, "You were right, it was exactly what I needed. Do you want another one?" He asked. I nodded, and that's how it started. Every week I would come back. Every week he would have a new book ready for me. Sometimes he would write little notes on scraps of paper and tuck them inside. Things like, "Pay attention to chapter 7, or "The ending made me cry," or "This character reminds me of you." I started coming in not just for the books, but to talk to him. I learned that he had owned the bookstore for 15 years. Before that, he was a high school English teacher. He opened the store after his father died and left him some money. "I wanted to spend my life around books," he told me. "They never let you down." I learned that he lived alone in an apartment above a bakery, that he woke up early every morning to watch the sunrise, that he had a cat named Fitzgerald who only liked certain people, that he drank Earl Grey tea with honey, that he had traveled to 12 different countries but always came back to this small town because it felt like home. "What about you?" he asked one afternoon. We were sitting in the back of the store where he kept 2 old chairs and a small table. He had made us both tea. "Why did you become a teacher?" I thought about it for a moment. I had a teacher once, I said slowly. 3rd grade, Mrs. Patterson. She was the first person who ever made me feel like I mattered, like my thoughts and feelings were important. I want to be that person for someone else. David looked at me with such warmth in his eyes. I think you already are, he said softly. Something changed between us that day. The air felt different, heavier, full of things we weren't saying out loud. I started staying longer at the bookstore. An hour became 2 hours. 2 hours became 3. We talked about everything. Books and movies and childhood memories and dreams we had for the future. He told me about losing his mother when he was young. I told him about my fear of never being good enough. We shared the small, secret parts of ourselves that we usually kept hidden. 3 months after we met, I realized I was in love with him. It hit me one random Thursday evening. I was at home grading papers, and something funny happened. My first thought wasn't to call my sister or my best friend. It was to tell David. I wanted to share every little moment of my life with him. The realization scared me. I tried to talk myself out of it. He's too old for you, I thought. People will judge you. This is crazy. But my heart didn't care about any of that. The next day, I went to the bookstore like always. My hands were shaking. David noticed immediately. Are you okay? He asked, concerned. I'm fine. I lied, but I wasn't fine. For the next week, I felt like I was carrying a heavy stone in my chest. I couldn't stop thinking about him. I couldn't stop wondering if he felt the same way. I was terrified that if I said something, I would ruin the best friendship I had ever had. Then one evening, he asked me to dinner. There's a new Italian restaurant downtown, he said, not quite meeting my eyes. I thought maybe we could try it together, if you want. No pressure. His nervousness made him even more beautiful to me. I'd love that. I said. We went on Saturday night. I wore a blue dress that my sister had given me for my birthday. David wore a dark sweater and nice pants. He had shaved carefully and combed his hair. He looked handsome and nervous and wonderful. The restaurant was small and warm. Candles flickered on every table. We sat in a corner booth and ordered pasta and wine. At first we talked like we always did, easy, natural, but as the night went on, something shifted. I need to tell you something, David said finally. He was looking down at his plate, turning his fork over and over in his hands. And I'm terrified to say it because I don't want to lose you. My heart started beating so fast I thought he might hear it. What is it? He took a deep breath. I have feelings for you, real feelings, the kind that keep me awake at night, the kind that make me count the hours until you come to the store. He finally looked up at me. His eyes were full of fear and hope. But I'm much older than you, 24 years older. I know how that looks. I know what people would say. If this makes you uncomfortable, we can pretend I never said anything. We can just be friends. I won't be hurt, but he would be hurt. I could see it written all over his face. I reached across the table and took his hand. His skin was warm and a little rough, like someone who worked with their hands. David, I said quietly, I love you too. I've loved you for weeks. I was just too scared to say it. His eyes got shiny, like he might cry. His hand tightened around mine. Really, he whispered, really, I said. I don't care about your age. I care about you. The way you make me laugh, the way you listen, the way you see the world, the way you make me feel safe and understood and valued. That's what matters to me. A single tear rolled down his cheek. He wiped it away quickly and laughed, embarrassed. I'm sorry, he said. I just never thought someone like you could love someone like me. Someone like me. I asked, David, you're the best person I know. We finished dinner holding hands across the table. When he walked me home that night, he kissed me under the streetlight in front of my apartment. It was gentle and sweet and perfect. I felt like I was floating. The next few months were the happiest of my life. We spent every free moment together. He would come to my apartment and we would cook dinner. I would go to his place and meet Fitzgerald, who actually liked me. We would take long walks through the park. We would stay up late talking about everything and nothing. David loved in a way I had never experienced before. He was patient and thoughtful and kind. He remembered every little thing I told him. If I mentioned that I liked a certain type of flower, he would bring me those flowers the next week. If I had a bad day at school, he would make my favorite tea and just sit with me until I felt better. He never tried to fix my problems or tell me what to do. He just listened and held my hand and made me feel less alone. I fell deeper in love with him every single day. I loved the way he hummed while he cooked. I loved the way he read out loud to me before bed. I loved the way he looked at me like I was something precious and rare. I loved that he never made me feel young or foolish or less than. He treated me like an equal, like my thoughts and feelings mattered just as much as his. But the world outside our little bubble didn't understand. When we walked down the street together, people stared. Old women would whisper to each other behind their hands. Teenagers would laugh and point. One time, a man yelled something cruel at us from his car. Something about David being a dirty old man. I felt David's whole body tense beside me. Ignore him, I said, squeezing his hand, but I could see the hurt in his eyes, the shame. I'm sorry, he said quietly. I'm sorry that being with me brings this into your life. Stop, I said firmly. You have nothing to be sorry for. Those people don't know us. They don't know what we have. But it got harder, the stares, the whispers, the judgment. It followed us everywhere. The worst part was telling my family. I waited 4 months before I finally worked up the courage to tell my mother. She came to my apartment for Sunday lunch like she did every week. We were eating sandwiches in my small kitchen when I said, Mom, I'm seeing someone. It's serious. I want you to meet him. Her face lit up. Oh, honey, that's wonderful. What's his name? What does he do? His name is David, I said slowly. He owns the bookstore on Maple Street. He's kind and smart, and he treats me better than anyone ever has. He sounds perfect, she said, smiling. How old is he? Is he one of those young businessmen? My stomach twisted. He's 48, Mom. The smile fell off her face. The kitchen got very quiet. What? She said. Did you say 48? I nodded. I know it sounds like a big age difference, but a big age difference, she interrupted. He's twice your age. He's old enough to be your father. But he's not my father, I said, trying to stay calm. He's the man I love. My mother stood up so fast her chair scraped against the floor. This is wrong, she said. Her voice was shaking. This is so wrong. What could a man that old possibly want with a girl your age? Don't you see how this looks? I see how it looks to people who don't know us, I said. But I know the truth. I know that he loves me. I know that he respects me. I know that he's good to me. This is a mistake, she said, grabbing her purse. You're making a huge mistake, and you're too young and stupid to see it. Her words felt like a slap. Mom, call me when you come to your senses, she said, and walked out. I sat alone in my kitchen and cried. I called David. He came over immediately. He held me while I sobbed into his chest. Maybe she's right, I said through my tears. Maybe this is wrong. Maybe we're being selfish. Do you want to end this? He asked quietly. Because I will understand. I never want to be the reason you hurt. I pulled back and looked at him. At his kind eyes and his gentle face, and the way he held me like I was something breakable and precious. No, I said, I don't want to end this. I just want it to be easier. I know, he whispered. Me too, but it didn't get easier. My sister stopped calling me. My best friend from college, Rachel, told me I was being naive and foolish. He's using you, she said over the phone. Men that age don't date young women because they love them. They do it because they want to feel young again. You're going to get hurt. You don't know him, I said, my voice tight. And you don't know men, she shot back. I'm trying to protect you. I don't need protecting, I said. I need support, she sighed. I can't support something I think is wrong. I'm sorry. Even at work, things changed. The other teachers started treating me differently. They would stop talking when I walked into the break room. They smiled less. They didn't invite me to happy hour anymore. One of the older teachers, Mrs. Henderson, pulled me aside one day. I heard about your boyfriend, she said. I just want you to know that people are talking. It doesn't look good. I don't care how it looks. I said, you should. She said, this is a small town. Reputations matter. I felt so alone, like I was standing on an island, and everyone I knew was on the shore, shaking their heads at me. The only person who understood was David, and that made me love him even more. One night, about 6 months into our relationship, I went to his apartment and completely broke down. I had just gotten off the phone with my mother. She had called to tell me that my grandmother was asking about my boyfriend situation, and was disappointed in me, that my whole family was worried about me, that I was breaking their hearts. I cried so hard I couldn't breathe. David held me on his couch while Fitzgerald purred beside us. I can't do this, I sobbed. It's too hard. Everyone hates us. Everyone thinks we're wrong. David was quiet for a long time. Then he said very softly, maybe they're right. I looked up at him, shocked. What? Maybe this is selfish of me, he said. His eyes were red. You're losing your family, your friends, your reputation, all because of me, because I'm too old and I couldn't help falling in love with you. He cupped my face in his hands. I love you so much that it scares me. And because I love you, I don't want to be the reason your life falls apart. If you want to walk away, I will understand. I will always love you, but I don't want to be the reason you lose everything. I had never loved him more than I did in that moment. He was willing to let me go, even though it would destroy him, because he thought it would be better for me. I took his hands in mine. Listen to me, I said. You're not the reason I'm losing things. Other people's judgment is the reason. Their fear, their small minds, but you're not a cost. You're not something I'm losing. You're everything I'm choosing. But your family, he started, will either come around or they won't. I said firmly, but I'm not giving you up. I'm not giving up the way you make me feel, the way you love me, the way you see me. Do you understand? I choose you. Every single day I choose you. He pulled me close and buried his face in my hair. I felt his tears on my neck. I don't deserve you, he whispered. Yes, you do, I said. You deserve love just as much as anyone else. We held each other for a long time. Fitzgerald climbed into my lap and purred. Outside, the street was quiet. Inside, we were safe. That night, something solidified in me, a strength I didn't know I had. I realized that I couldn't control what other people thought or said. I could only control my own choices. And I chose David. I chose love. I chose the life we were building together, even if no one else understood it. The next morning, I woke up in his bed with sunlight streaming through the window. David was already awake, watching me with soft eyes. Good morning, he said. Good morning. I said back. I want to show you something, he said. He took my hand and led me to the window. We looked out over the town. The sun was just coming up, painting everything gold and pink. The bakery below was starting to open. The smell of fresh bread drifted up. Every morning I stand here and watch the sunrise. David said. And every morning for the past 6 months, I've thought about you. I've thought about how lucky I am, how grateful I am that you walked into my bookstore that day. He turned to me. I know this isn't easy. I know the world is against us. But I promise you, I will spend every single day trying to be worthy of your love. I kissed him, slow and deep and full of promise. You already are, I said. We stood there together watching the sun rise over our small town, and I knew, no matter what anyone else said or thought, this was right. This was real. This was love. The world could say whatever it wanted. Let them stare. Let them whisper. Let them judge. Because when I was with him, I wasn't a girl who fell for an older man. I was just someone who finally understood what love really means. Thank you so much for listening to my story. I know it wasn't an easy one to hear. Love rarely is. But I hope it reminded you that real love is worth fighting for, no matter what anyone else thinks. If this story touched your heart, please give it a like. It really helps others find these stories too. And if you want to hear more true love stories like this one, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. There are so many more stories waiting for you. Stories about hope, heartbreak, second chances, and the kind of love that changes everything. Remember, love doesn't always look the way we expect it to. Sometimes it comes in the most unexpected forms. Sometimes it asks us to be brave, and sometimes it's worth every single tear. Thank you for being here with me today. Until next time, keep believing in love, keep choosing hope, and never let anyone tell you that your heart is wrong. See you in the next story.